Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at the Object 263. It has received a nerf and it has received a buff. So the dispersion, the accuracy has been nerfed slightly, but the terrain, traverse speed and the HP of the tank, the hit points of the tank, has been buffed. Now, this tank has always been known as the YOLO wagon. It's pretty much been taken over as the YOLO wagon from a couple of tanks, actually, like the Foch 155. That's now more of a YOLO wagon than this tank right here. And you can also say maybe the Hori is a kind of a YOLO wagon as well, just because of how strong them tanks are, like armor profile wise. But the 263 is, even though it hasn't been performing, or people hasn't been performing in this tank like it was, it still performs very well, and it's still a very decent tank in the right situation. Now, this tank had literally no gun depression whatsoever, so if you're on a hilly map like we are here, it is very difficult to get yourself into a position that you can be effective from. So this kind of tank, I usually like to sort of sit back for a bit. It's a very fast tank, very fast tank. It has great DPM. So I like to sort of sit back a little bit just behind my heavy team, support them with the crazy DPM you've got. You've got 3,000, nearly 3,900 DPM, which is pretty much the highest tier 10 DPM in the game. And then just push forward like we are here. Once the team starts sort of bleeding hit points, I like to then just to rush in, use my armor profile, because the armor profile is actually very troll. When you're angled, yes, the bottom plate is quite weak, but your gun mantlet can be penned if you sort of hit the either side of the tank. But other than that, like, if you can angle the tank, or if you can sort of wiggle your tank just as the enemies shoot, you can get quite a lot of bounces. I mean, here we have bounced 2,150, which is more than in our entire hit point pool, even with the buffed hit points. And then later on in the game, as you can see here now, we have the DPM to kind of rush these guys. Doesn't matter if we get penned, we can rush them because we know it is game over. Yes, we're going to get shot from the grill, but we can just rush him here, go for the little ram, and then he is going to get killed, and so is the Death Star there. So it is kind of still a YOLO wagon. You can still YOLO in. If you do play front line, I do recommend to find hard cover, and if there is a tank in front of you, then you can either try and angle a little bit, but that's not guaranteed for to get a bounce. Face hugging in this thing is quite good, as long as you angle while you're face hugging, because if they can see your gun mantlet, they will be able to pen you. You can get some troll bounces on that gun mantlet, but it is definitely still a YOLO wagon, and the buff just makes the traverse a little bit more quicker, so you can turn a little bit more quicker, but with that, the accuracy has taken a nerf. So turning and sort of shooting at the same time it still works, but it's more so the traverse. I don't know if it was the right buff for this tank, to be honest. It is a decent tank. Obviously, it doesn't need penetration. The penetration is decent enough as it is. The premium ammo is sort of, you can get 330. That is without running the calibrated shells, so you can get up to sort of 350, which is more than enough to penetrate anyone that comes in your way. And I think the AP is around 270 without calibrated shells, so it's the penetration is decent enough. It's decent, it works, and the speed, as I've said, it is really quick, one of the quickest in the tier. The only downfall I think about this tank is that gun depression, and the whole line is like that, to be honest. So that you shouldn't really suffer with the gun depression, because if you are grinding this tank, the whole line is basically no gun depression. So by the time you get to the tank, you should be kind of used to not having that gun depression, or playing it in a certain way where you don't need that gun depression. So when you learn the tank, it is decent. If you can focus fire a tank, and with a teammate that is high DPM as well, you can really clear these tanks really quickly. So There is a few different ways to play the tank. Like, you can play it sort of at the back behind your heavies, and then rush in, as I've said, when you need to. Or you can play it with your medium tanks, because the speed is there, and the medium tanks will struggle to penetrate you. The only downfall is they will be able to get around you pretty quickly. Even though it is a quick tank, as I've said, look at that. I mean, it has no gun depression, so try and not get into those positions where you need that gun depression. Try and get on flat surface if you can, because otherwise you're just going to really struggle. And that's how our guy here is doing. He's not playing it aggressive. He's playing it sort of behind his team, just kind of helping his team. He's got a kill, hasn't got much damage at the moment, but what I love about these kind of games, just because people don't see him do anything, he has been supporting his team as much as possible, but his team don't really see that, and they end up raging. There's a few players that just rage at him, like, for no reason, just because he sees him at the back, and they're like, yeah, report 263. They're not going to say it at the end when he completely freaking carries them, and that really annoys me. Just because they see a tank there, they think he's not doing anything, but he's still playing a big part. Even though he's not doing massive amount of damage, he's still playing a big part in the game. And now, before you know it, it is a 1 versus 4. I know there's 3 that is a one shot, but in a 263, that's still you still need to play quite well, and this is easily losable. He needs to clear these one-shot tanks, and this Yo is the trying to be the hero there. He comes out, and people really underestimate the reload of this thing. As you know, bang, it's gone. 2 tanks down in sort of 6 seconds, and you get the bounce there on the Jaegeru, get the bounce there from the Kranwagen, and of course he is gonna, not the Kranwagen, sorry, yeah, it is the Kranwagen, and before you know it, it's now a 1 versus 1, and now he has the DPM. If he can get another bounce, I mean, he just turned, unfortunately does get penned there. If he would have just sort of just wiggled a little bit, he may have got that bounce. And now it is just face hugging this Jaegeru. He's going to get a shot there, and you can see what I'm on about angling at the moment. He's going to angle. Just as he angles, he manages to get that bounce, and now he completely has him over with the DPM. 2,700 block damage, and that is what this tank is all about. You need to get that block damage. You need to use that DPM. 3,900 DPM is an incredible amount of DPM in tier 10 for a TD. So it's still a decent tank. I don't know if it was the right buff or not. It's a good tank. People just know how to deal with it a lot easier back when it first come into the game. But hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'm Meadsy. I'll catch you soon. With